one of the top Nike trainers in London, Nike, sorry, and
Get that right.
Yeah, and one of probably the most inspirational women I've ever met in my life.
Oh, that's a big one. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let me talk about how I even came across you. I remember seeing you on my Instagram probably 2 years ago. You came up on my feed. No, a friend sent you to me. Said, "Hear the snap on the pads." That's all I got sent, and a video of you just doing some pads. It's like shit. Then I think because I follow some of the same people as you, who's on my feed more and more, and I started following you not too long ago. And then reading up on your story, and I thought, I need to get this woman on the episode. I messaged you and I said, look, this is a long shot. Hope you can come in. And you messaged back straight away and he was like, yes, I'm in. And so I'm very grateful to have you on here. And now let's hear about your story. So that's how I found out about you. I want to go right back from the beginning. So before you became a Nike trainer, before you became one of the top trainers in London, what got you into fitness to start with?
So I've always been a sporty kid.
Yeah.
Sports was just everything, growing up. When I was in school, I just lived for PE. I was that kid, doing the bleep test. I was always the last one. So I wasn't particularly academic at school, which is quite funny because I did become academic by the time I got to uni, but I wasn't very academic and was just really interested in sports. So I was on all the teams. I was on the netball team, cricket team, every team, swim team. And I was a competitive swimmer at the time, competing for the local borough. And for me, it was just a natural progression because it was just sports was my life. Sports was just everything. It gave me an identity. It was just a place where I could express my competitive nature and always trying to get the best out of myself. So I had an older sister and she was studying sports science at uni. And I was like, great, there's actually a degree that I can do that's all about the stuff that I love.
Yeah.
So went to Hertfordshire Uni, studied sports science and just fell in love with everything to do with exercise, physiology, nutrition, mindset, the whole thing. Started personal training when I was at uni.
Okay.
Started training I was training actually at a really rundown gym in Harrow, really run down.
My dad's up by that way.
It was an interesting place, but it's where I had a lot of time on the gym floor. So that was great. That was quite early on, and I also started doing an internship in my third year, strength and conditioning. That's when I started to specialise a bit more in S&C, and then got to spend some more time on the gym floor, but now working with athletes. So made a lot of learning at that point. And then, carried on, ended up doing a master's, which was pretty cool, sports biomechanics. And that was really cool. That was actually a written piece that got published in a journal eventually. And shortly after I finished my master's, I skipped a step, sorry. I started working, my sister opened a personal training studio in 2007, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I started off there as just on reception. And then whilst I was at uni, I would come back and forth. So I'd just do a bit of reception, cover her clients every now and again. And then when I finished uni, I went back and just started working there full time and just clocked up the hours. I literally remember having my first client there. She was an older lady who had a frozen shoulder. Yeah. And I was like, that's my first client. I was training her twice a week.
Was you nervous with your first client?
No, I wasn't that nervous because it was actually it was a learning experience for me. And I think I'm a people person. I love people. I love talking to people. I can talk a lot. Before I got into, coaching, I was always doing reception jobs because I think I really enjoy communicating with people. And I think my communication skills are okay. I like conversating with people. I love building relationships with people, getting to know people. And I think being on the front desk, dealing with customers, I think I always felt like I was a good person for that. I could always bring out the best in people. So that's where that started. And then, I get that confidence carried over because I knew I could talk to people and I knew I could conversate with a wide variety of people. And I actually think that's the most important thing when it comes to personal training.
Absolutely. I preach this on stories all the time. It's you can be so educated. That's amazing that you are, but if you can't communicate with someone, that's such a big part of it.
Most of your job is building relationships and communicating effectively. It's all those softer skills that we don't really get taught. But I feel because I am the person I am and I love people and I love to meet people, talk to people, get to know them. I think that's a big part of what allowed me to develop quite early on as a trainer. So I started with that one lady at Synergy at the local studio, and then it grew very quickly. Once I started coaching the runners, this was something that I was doing for free. I wasn't even getting paid to do this. It was just something that it was where I was picking up clients from running club all the time because I would actually run and talk to them.
Yeah.
I would like, when they were struggling on those runs, I would stay with them and chat to them. And eventually, when something cropped up and they needed help, they'd come to me for it, because we've already built that relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't necessarily nervous. I would say it's always a very intriguing thing for me, like learning about my clients. And, you know, she had quite a complicated issue at the time with the frozen shoulder, which I probably wasn't qualified to deal with, but I managed it, and I learned a lot through the process. So yeah, that's kind of where it all started off, really, I guess. But yeah, it was, you know, I was at that personal training studio that my sister opened. You know, I worked with her for 14 years. We had a long.
You worked with your sister for 14 years?
Yeah, we were together for 14 years in that, you know, building that gym, building that studio space, building that community. And yeah, it's been a big part of my career, a big part of like a lot of my learning, a lot of my experiences. I did kind of branch out, but that was always kind of my base, and where I was always doing regular clients from that place.
So the one-to-one clients is obviously completely separate. Did you ever do the classes? Did you ever teach a lot of classes?
We didn't do loads of classes.
I only asked because for me personally, I'm one-to-one all day long.
Yeah.
The second I got put into that class environment, I was bricking it.
Do you know what?
You had to turn on a different type of energy.
It's very different. So when I was at uni, when you study sports science, they kind of make you feel like you have to pick a sport, and you have to do a sport. And I was like, I'll try it out for the netball team, tried out for the basketball team. It was just a bit like, didn't really feel it. I was like, do you know what? Maybe I should try a martial art. And this is when I actually went down to Burnt Oak and found -4 Gym, and started training in Thai boxing. And actually, when we developed Thai Fit, which was our Thai boxing fitness class, that's when I got thrown into like teaching. Sal went to Thailand, my husband, and he was like, well, I'm going to go and train out there. You're going to have to take over the classes. And I was like, right, okay. I'd only done Thai boxing for like 4 years by that point, 3-4 years. So I felt like I was very much still within that intermediate kind of area, probably a bit of a stretch. And I was very much thrown in the deep end, holding pads for like, 6 foot guys. Like, I was doing the ladies' classes was okay because it was beginners. So I felt like I could, I knew the basics well enough to teach it to beginners. But then to put me in a mixed environment with like very capable men and women, I was like, geez, because I'm coming up with combinations, I'm coming up with the condition, I'm coming up with everything.
Amazing. But we were just talking about this, isn't it? Just adapt. You just adapted and smashed it.
Yeah. And I guess you get a lot of coaching experience when you study sports science, because you've got your sports coaching modules where you have to actually deliver like sessions and stuff. And where I did that S&C internship, there was a lot of stuff that I had to do, like where I was taking the netball squad. I did some stuff with Saracen. So there was a lot of it's not a class, but it's a session, a group session. Yeah. So I guess I gained some experience there, then just had to translate that over to like general population.
Amazing. Right. And what I've seen on your stories, and I wanted to talk to you about this loads, is Health Hub.
Yes.
Talk to me about Health Hub, please, because I'm massive on the youth and growing and getting them out of a bad cycle. And I see that you're all for that as well. Tell me everything about Health Hub.
Health Hub. So Health Hub was born out of just an opportunity that came up in 2019, where I was training, where I was doing my clients. The person that was running the facility there, they were going to leave and they wanted someone to take over the lease. And me and Sal, my husband, were like, well, actually, no, it wasn't me and Sal. He turned around and said, I'll take the gym.
Yes, good man.
And I laughed at him and I said, what do you mean you take the gym? 7,000 square foot. What are we going to do with this place? He said, we'll take it. Let's take it. And I was just like, this guy, is he?
He jumps like in the ring with anyone. He's not going to care about taking a
He's
building.
a risk taker, and I like to play it safe sometimes. And that's why we bring the best out of each other. I was like, what is this guy on about? Anyway, so we had a lot of conversations about it. And this is where like the idea of Health Hub came out. And we really wanted to bring that community element. Sal's background, as I mentioned to you earlier, he grew up in Northwest London. He used to get into a lot of fights. Starting Muay Thai was something that his dad encouraged him to. He was like, listen, you can fight? He was like, why don't you get paid for fighting?
Yeah, good man.
So he got in the ring, started getting paid for fights. He was like, this is wicked, now I can travel the world. So I guess from what he's seen, people around him when he was younger were getting stabbed or going to prison, all these kinds of things. There was never really any positive role models around him. There wasn't really like a positive outlet for all the energy that they had. So Health Hub really was about providing that safe space for people, and having role models there, having people like Sal, who is, he's a 3 times world champion. He's a firefighter. He works for the community and does that. So it was really about just giving back to the community, getting people moving. And we were supposed to take over this gym space. It didn't come to fruition because of the pandemic. So we lost a lot. We lost a lot of money. We lost a lot of time. But
before you even so when you agreed to take over the space, how did you get the community together? How did you get it up and running? Was it already?
We'd already built our community from our clients and the people. Remember, we'd had Tie Fit, our brand that we started about 7 or 8 years ago. We've had that running, and those classes have been running for like 7 years. So people have been coming to me from all over the world for Tie Fit classes.
That's amazing.
You know, I was one of the first to run ladies only Thai boxing classes. There's never been a concept like Tie Fit. You know, fitness, Thai boxing, taking out the contact element of it. Of Thai boxing, no sparring, no clinching, just pad work.
I suppose that's what would put a lot of people off if they're fairly new to it. Like, when you think of boxing, you think of the Muay Thai, anything like that, you think, I don't really want to jump in the ring and potentially get smashed up.
But this is the thing, and we wanted to give people the experience without feeling like they had to jump in the ring. And it's a scary thing, like only nuts.
So I have mates that have boxed and stuff, and they said that the walk to the ring, you fought, right? Yeah. So the walk to the ring is meant to be the worst walk ever. It's the longest minute of your life. It
really is. And do you know what? I used to think I was the only person that thought this, but every time before I fought, I always think to myself, why are you doing this to yourself again? Like, this is just horrible. Like the anxiety. Yeah. I always think to myself, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to yourself again? After this, that's it. Let's just leave it. Like, just don't do it anymore. This is like so nerve-wracking. And then you get in the ring and then you just think, well, I'm here now.
This is what I've heard. I've heard as soon as the bell goes, the feeling goes.
Oh, the feeling goes.
Just ready
then that's it. Then you got to fight. You got to fight because there's only one way out of that ring, and that's you having your hand raised, and that's what you're thinking about.
Fair enough.
So
so a friend of mine, I like I told you, I used to box for about a year as a kid. That was it, and I've always liked any sort of fight and any sort of martial arts. I've always been keen. He wants me to get into white collar boxing matches. Yeah. So I said I'll do it this year for a laugh. So
go for it.
I need your help.
Sal's there for you.
Train me, you, Sal, everyone. I need all your help. I'm not going. There's no way I'm signing up for the first one and losing. No way.
No, 100%.
No way. I'm going to
we'll be in your corner 100%. It's a great challenge, and I think for me, when I started Thai boxing, I used to look at the fighters in the gym and just think, wow, like they're so they look so beautiful in the way that they're like kicking the pads and punching them. And I was like, that's amazing. I want to be able to look like that on the pads. But also, like, I admired people like Sal who would get in the ring because I knew that was something that didn't make me feel comfortable, and I felt like that just wasn't for me. Like, I can compete, I can run on a track, I can swim in a race, like I can do all those things, but getting in a ring and fighting someone one-on-one, I felt like it wasn't for me.
Fair enough.
So then I was like, but then I had that battle with myself because I've got that kind of competitiveness with
I can't let this one thing beat me. This one challenge.
Think you can't do this, you do it. Like so it was a battle to actually get me in the ring mentally, like myself, to actually say to myself, go do it, because that is the thing that you're scared of. That's the thing that you're nervous about.
Training you for every fight.
Yes, he's trained me for
How many did you have?
So I had before. So this is a whole other story that we can get into. Before I started wearing the hijab, I had about five or six fights.
Okay.
And then when I started to practice my religion a little bit more and I decided to wear my hijab, I didn't actually tell anyone about it. It was a very personal decision, and it was just after university, and I was like, I knew what I wanted to do. Sal didn't even have any idea about it. It was just, a very personal decision for me. And I think when that happened, I kind of just fell back a bit and was like, I don't know how I'm going to compete with this hijab on. Can I compete? Is it allowed? Like, how does it work? There were no female fighters.
It baffles me that you've even had to think that, though. This is how backwards the world is. It should just be, you should be allowed. Yeah, we'll find a way to make it allowed. Sort of.
But this is back when there wasn't even personal trainers like myself, like that were Muslim, practicing Muslims wearing a hijab. There was nobody. Like, even the day when I decided to wear the hijab, and I said the biggest fight for me was like, I'm going to walk into the gym and like, what are my clients going to think of me? Yes, and I was battling with that for so long.
This is what kills me. You should never ever be feeling like that.
Yeah, but it's
I'm not saying of course. The fact that you've had to feel like that is obviously just because of how things are, unfortunately, and it's terrible.
But it was, and I guess that when that happened, it was a big step for me. For like, I was really kind of nervous about how it would affect my professional career, and I had people in my ear telling me that, people are not going to want to train with you, in this, where we are and in this kind of area, because of the type of community that we had around us, which, wasn't the most diverse community, so they perhaps wouldn't have responded very well to me and whatever. And I did worry that people were going to lose that respect instantly just on seeing me, like, oh, are you a trainer? You don't look like a trainer. I didn't look like a trainer because there were no trainers that looked like me. So
until they see you get in the ring. Do I look like a trainer now?
But that was the thing. And when I decided to start wearing hijab, I didn't fight for like 5 years. I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
It was a long time, and
But
it's
look
like
at the impact you've made since then. Amazing.
but it made me hungry, man.
Yeah,
and then
good.
I had my daughter, and I said to myself, you know what? If I never want to live with regret. And if I imagine I could have been such a great fighter, and I just never let myself reach that potential, and I didn't want to ever miss that out. And I said, you've got Yasmin now. Like, you're her mum. You need to be an example to her that if there is a challenge, you have to overcome it. It's not about just rolling over and saying, oh,
and just
can't do it.
No chance.
So I said, you know what? Let's do it. I said to Sal one day, I said, right, I want to fight again. Let's just do it. We can do this now. Like, we've also, like, at the time when I started wearing hijab, there weren't even sports hijabs out there. There wasn't like the Nike Pro hijab, the one that you see me training in a lot of time. We didn't have anything like that. We had like small Muslim companies that were making them, but it was a new concept, so they weren't great. They weren't like perfected, you know. So it was trial and error, even with knowing what to wear, what to physically wear. The clothing that you get from, you know, all these kind of high street shops and, you know, sports shops, they don't cater for people like me that want to cover their arms, want to cover their legs, don't want to wear super tight clothing. So there was so many limiting factors in it. Essentially, that's why I ended up taking so much time off, just figuring myself through this. You know, we got married, we had Yasmin as well, and that took up some time. But then it was like, ultimately, in the end, it's like, I've just got to do this because I can't live with regret. What if I could have been an amazing fighter and I just never gave myself the chance?
I love that.
So,
competitive edge.
So, yeah, we went 2018, we went to Thailand. I was supposed to have a few, like, amateur fights before that to kind of get the rust and just, you know, see where I'm at also, because I've got 5 years of training. I'm a different fighter to what I was before. The amateur fights that were lined up didn't end up happening. I went to Thailand, just ended up having a pro fight out there in the stadium, and it was...
What was the buzz like? Was it amazing?
It was honestly like such a like memorable point in my life. Like, I remember, I've just got these memories of, like, because when you're training out there, you've got to do your morning run, your afternoon run as well with the pad work. So you'd go for your morning run, and we'd be running around Samui, the Koh Samui in Thailand, and I just would run past my poster of the fight, and there'd be a big picture of me in my hijab, like, just there, and I was like, yeah,
I did that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what's happening, there's no going back now, because what you've done there is like you've made history for yourself.
Yeah, speed up, don't slow down.
And it's like, and it was like when I was running, I just kept seeing myself, and I was like, oh, look at that image. I bet no one's ever seen that before.
Amazing.
So it was like, you know, no one's done it before, but I'll do it. So, you know, getting in the ring was just a win before I even got in there, because it was such a thing for me to overcome those internal battles that I had with, like, my faith and fighting and everything else. And then just to do it, because no one else was doing it. No one was doing it. Like, no one in the UK.
You're just creating waves and making impacts. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
So good. What do your daughters think about daughters? You got two?
Yes.
Yeah. What do your daughters think about you being a fighter?
One is 18 months, so she doesn't say too much about it. But my 5-year-old, she does think it's cool, and she does do a little bit of pads with us. But she's at that age where she can't even really appreciate how cool her mum is. I just like to, like, that's why I'm saving all the posters, all the everything, all these campaigns I've been on.
Wait till that and just say, oh, by the way,
I'm just gonna
your mum's a ledge. Your mum's a ledge. Read that.
Just take that. Yeah. So she may not. Literally, the other day we went down to Oxford Street because I'm on this Nike campaign. There's a massive poster of me.
I want to go into this as well.
Go.
In front
of Nike Town, and I took her there, and I said, Yasmin, you know, like, other people's mums ain't up there on the posters in the shops. I was like, that's your mum, you know.
Stop and watch for a second,
I was like, that's your mum.
We're busy. Stop and watch for just a couple of minutes. Take that in.
So we took some pictures, and I think she did think it was cool, but I think it will settle in later.
No, that will get better and better as soon as she gets older, and she's going to realise. Imagine that, mum and dad both fighters. Insane. Yeah. That's wicked.
Sal's my inspiration, man.
Yeah, as well. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet. Hopefully soon, but I've seen him, and I know a lot of people that train with him, and he's meant to be the bee's knees.
He's meant
to be good. Yeah, he's meant to be good.
He'll bring out the best in you.
Yeah, I hope so. I can't wait to get a session with him. Talk to me about how Nike. Did you contact them, or because you've done quite a few campaigns with them right now? Yeah,
so I'm a Nike trainer. I've been a Nike trainer for about 3 years, and yeah, it's an interesting one, because it's like, you know, people say, how did you become a Nike trainer? And it's just like, you know, I always joke and say, like, if I tell you I have to kill you.
Yeah.
But no, it's like, it was just a case of, like...
And it's scary because you probably could. You could. So if I tell you I have to kill you, okay. I won't ask again.
Yeah, I guess it was like, I was at the right place at the right time, and, you know, I wanted to get my message out there, and the lady, Megan Donnelly, who was heading up the Nike training team, she was interested in what I had to say, and she believed that, you know, my message was very powerful, and she just gave me that opportunity that I'm eternally grateful for. Yeah, she's not with the company anymore, but she believed in me, and, you know, joining Nike was quite an important part of my professional career as a trainer. but it just opened the doors. And I think where I'd always been worried for so many years about losing respect as a trainer because of my physical appearance, it was nice to have the backing of a massive global brand, so that people were like, okay, she's good. Like, if she's working with them, she must be good. So it just gave me a little bit of boost of confidence, and also allowed me to just spread my message far and wide to, like,
I just find it insane that there isn't the right clothing for Muslim athletes. It's not like the Muslim community is some small new belief. It's like, come on, man. It's like there should be more.
Well, do you know what? Nike was, like, props to them. They were the first to bring out a sports hijab, you know, and everyone else has followed. And you always remember the first one. Whether you like it or not, they were the first to do it. And it's like, you know, I think it's a great thing. They think they should have done it a lot sooner. But, you know, they did it at the right time. They had a lot of influential athletes working to help them bring that product to life. They had Ibtihaj Muhammad, who's the Olympic fencer, and she's amazing. So having someone like her on board was, you know, amazing for them to be able to.
Was she on board before you?
Yeah, she was a sponsored athlete, so we're part of the trainer network. So they kind of have, I guess, like for Nike, the ambassador thing is new. That wasn't really anything before, but it's mainly they have sponsored athletes, and then they have a trainer network. So we've got the UK trainer team, which has got 10 of us, and then there's like the global team. So you've got the guys that are in the States, and then you've got the team like all over the world. You've got trainers in Canada and Germany and places like that. So
amazing.
Yeah, and you know, being a part of that team is great because, you know, essentially everyone's experts in their field, and we've got people in loads of different areas of health and fitness. We've got dancers, we've got yogis, we've got the S&C guys, we've got loads of people. So it's amazing that we can all learn off each other.
Could you imagine yourself doing anything different now?
No.
Because you love it. It's the passion, right?
I love it, and I think it's important that brands have, you know, I don't want to use the word diverse, but like let's just say are inclusive with their selection of you know, trainers and people and experts that they pick, you know. For a long time, and probably still very much now, you know, when you look at the front of a health and fitness magazine, the person always looks the same.
Yeah,
just a different face, but more or less
I was talking about this with Intersar on the last episode. It's it's even. Do you know Chloe Wiley?
I don't think so.
Chloe Wiley Can Lift. She put up a post the other day, which was great, about if you're looking for new talent, don't ask. Like, if you've got a studio full of white people, let's not sugarcoat it. Yeah, good. Don't ask your white colleague to then go and ask someone black. Go and ask someone with make the effort, and don't just. And all too much of that shit just gets brushed under the carpet, which is annoying, especially in the fitness world. Yeah. And that is what's going to lead me on to my next question, actually. This podcast is called Real As It Gets, and I do like real answers, and obviously you're a real person. Have you, on your journey, ever experienced any racism, sexism, any sort of discrimination at all? And how did you deal with it?
Yeah, I have. I've experienced it from nearest and dearest to people that are. Yeah, I have. You know, when I first decided to start wearing the hijab, it was difficult for me because there were people very close to me that were saying some really horrible things and making me feel like I couldn't dress the way I wanted to dress.
People closest to you were saying
people close to me were saying that, and I'm lucky that I had Sal by my side because honestly, you know, when they say you only need one person in your corner, you actually only need one person, and I'm so lucky I had him because he was the one person that's always believed in me. He's always said to me, "Ned, you're the best coach. You're the best that there is. Keep doing it. You're the best. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, your time's going to come. You're the best." And because he kept reminding me of that, it was like when people were trying to take that confidence away from me, he was just bringing it back and saying, "No, you're the best. It's going to happen. Like, just keep working at it. Keep working. It doesn't matter." So I've had it from the nearest and dearest, and that's hard because they're the people that you expect support from. And when you don't get that, it's difficult. It's really difficult. And in the industry, I wouldn't say I've experienced too much in that way. I would just say that I didn't get a lot of opportunities because of the way that I looked, and it's frustrating, and it also is slightly frustrating that it was only until I joined Nike that people started giving me the respect I deserved. It was a double-edged sword. I was glad for it, but I was also a bit like, you lot are joking. Like, I've been a trainer almost 15 years now. That's not like a small amount of time.
Now I'm getting shown love, yeah.
So it's you know, and it's funny actually. I went to a boxing show. It was in the O2 with some of the Nike trainers, and I was walking down in the car park with our master trainer, Justin Thompson Rule, a great friend of mine, and we were walking through the car park, and some guys just started hurling abuse at me. And she was pregnant at the time.
When was this?
This was like 2 years ago. 2 years ago? About 2 years ago, yeah. And they made some remarks, and she was just like, we just carried on walking, and I was like, it's all right, Joss, it's fine. And we kept walking, and she was like, she couldn't get over it. And I said, Joss, like, you're 6 months pregnant. I'm not going to say nothing to these people. It's not worth the risk. We don't know what's like. We can't. This is the world we live in. I'm not going to start pick a fight with someone when my pregnant friend is walking with me. But she felt very. I know at the time it was difficult for her because she was like, she wanted to speak up for me, but she wasn't in a position to speak up as well. And she was also very shocked. I was like, listen, it happens. Like, I get on the tube sometimes, people say their things, they look at me a certain way. Like, it's just, it does happen. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And, for her, she was just like, wow, like, and I was like, no, this is real. This is real. Like, this does happen. It's happened to myself and my husband a lot, like traveling, even as we travel as a family, it's tiring. It's really tiring. But the one thing I will say is that, with the online community that I serve and present myself to, I have to say I've never really had much abuse or any kind of like anything from that forum, which I'm very grateful for, because I know there's a lot of trolls out there, and I know it's a place where people can feel like they can say whatever they want. But my Instagram has never been a place where people have felt like they could say their things to me. So I'm grateful for that. But,
I feel like you're such a lovely person. Everyone would just gang up on them anyway. Just be sending them abuse if they got rude to you, which is honestly some sad people out there, man. Need to grow up. But yeah, has it ever? So when I was speaking to Insa, she said at one point she felt she was getting some grief at the NHS, and she said at one point I felt like leaving, but I'm glad I didn't, because it was her passion. Has it ever put you on the ropes in that sort of way, like where you think this is driving me mad? I kind of don't want to do what I'm meant to do now.
I think I've always, my purpose and like my passion within sport is just an exercise. It's too strong. Like, it's a fire that no one can put out.
Yes.
But when I was going through troubling times and it was happening with people that were close to me, that was very difficult, because I just felt really let down, and I felt like I also felt a bit trapped because I was in a situation that I felt like I couldn't get out of. I could have, but maybe I just didn't have. I didn't have the soul in me to take that risk and just say, no, this is enough. Cut my ties. I cut my ties eventually, but it took me a while to get there. I had to live through it a little bit. But do you know what? I'm very grateful that, like, as I said, I don't think like anyone can burn that or like put out that flame. It's just too strong. Like,
imagine they did. The world wouldn't have Nez. Madness. How shit would that be? Honestly. So fair play to you. Stuck that out. Never let these fucking bullies win ever.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask you next? Thank you for talking about that, by the way. I know that could be quite a difficult thing to talk about. I wanted to ask you, what was your favourite campaign with Nike so far? Obviously, there's going to be more. What's your favourite to date?
That's a good one. The one that they've done recently, You Can't Stop Sport. That one. That one went global, so they've got my image all over the world. I think that one is important because it was like, this is what little Nez wanted, like just to have her face seen and like be accepted, and for people to see Muslim women like myself who are also like pushing themselves, pushing the boundaries, doing sports. So that one is very special. Having my picture up on Oxford Street, like in the window, like I never thought that would happen. I've got messages from people that have spotted me in Dubai, spotted me in like...
I think I've seen you share a few of these actually in Dubai Mall and stuff. That's crazy.
Dubai Mall, Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. So I think that was like, that's what little Nez wanted like 5 years ago, when she didn't know how to like push herself out of the situation that she was in and how she could really share her story with like, the rest of the world. So that was definitely a proud moment. But some of the best moments I've had with Nike is like some of the small projects we've done where we've done like, we did like a boxing series at some point where I went to like all the different parts of London, so like north, east, south, west, and we delivered 3 boxing sessions. And this was around the time we were doing a campaign with Georgia Smith, and it was just amazing. Like, I got to meet women from all different walks of life, and just they like a lot of them fell in love with boxing and fell in love with like moving their bodies, and it was just powerful, like offering them, like being able to offer free services to people that really do need it and appreciate it is something that is like priceless to me. So like those kind of things that we've done like actually mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes more than like the billboards and all the other stuff, because it's like I feel like we were able to have an impact on these people's lives and actually get people moving. And so some people don't enjoy going to the gym, and that's fine. But coming to a boxing session, sometimes it just ignites that flame, and you're like, this is amazing. How have I never
do this? Like,
how have I never discovered this before? So that's those kind of things I'm grateful for.
What's your own training like? Because I know you do Muay Thai, but what do you do? Strength and conditioning around that, or what is your weekly training session look like?
I started weightlifting when I was about 16 or 17. So I've literally been lifting weights and doing strength training from that age, and that is the base of my training. My training is, I'm very, very passionate. I know we've spoken a lot about Muay Thai, but I'm very passionate about strength training, and my background within personal training is a lot of kind of corrective exercise, fixing injuries and things like that. So for me, for my training, strength training takes up about 4 sessions of the week. I go for a run probably about 2 to 3 times a week.
Nice.
Me and Sal at the moment, we're doing hill sprints and Ali Pali once or twice a week.
Hill sprints anyway, just hard.
So we're going through those at the moment, and I'll kind of the pad work will be interspersed within those sessions. So it will probably at the moment, because the gyms are closed, it's probably 2 to 3 sessions a week. At the moment, but normally I'd be sparring once a week and at least hitting pads 3 or 4 times a week.
Do you ever get your, everyone does, I would imagine, but do you ever get your weeks where you're lacking that low motivation, and what's your drive through that?
I just turn up. I just have to turn up, because motivation isn't enough. It's discipline. It's discipline. Motivation will get you in the car, but discipline is going to drive you to that destination.
I like that.
You have to. It's not enough. It's not enough to just be motivated, because you're just not motivated.
No, not all the time. It's impossible.
And it's also remembering why you started. It's that cliche. Why are you doing this? What's your purpose? Why have you decided to do this? Why are you training? What are your goals? And just. As I said, it's just a discipline. I just turn up, whether I'm feeling it or not. I will just go. We've now built a little sort of semi-studio in one of the bedrooms in our house, so we use that as a training space. And sometimes when I'm not feeling it, I'll just do a low-key strength session there. Just keep it simple, and I know where I'm at. I'm very good at understanding where I'm at on that day mentally, and if I know that I'm not going to be able to give myself 110%, I'll say it's fine. I'll do 60%, but I'm still going to do something.
Yeah, what's your mantra when you're feeling like that? What do you take? When you're having that battle in your head? I know you show up, but you tell yourself something. You fire yourself up.
I say it's all right.
Yeah?
It's not there today, but it's fine. You're still going to do it. And it's I've learned that it's not about giving 110%. I'm a very explosive athlete, and I'm a person that's I sprint 100 meters fast, but then I gas after 100. I can't last further than that. And it's I like to go hard, even on the pads, hard, and punch as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And but actually you need the longevity, you need the stamina, and sometimes for me it's been a learning curve to just be you know what, it doesn't have to be a super hard session. It can just be a bit of maintenance. It can just be a bit of just ticking
and that's
it over.
ticking a few boxes, that's it, getting out of there. And it's a mind battle most of the time, isn't it? But going back to your strength and conditioning, do you find that when you was teaching coaching female clients, did they ever come with the I don't want to get bulky line, and you had to sort of drill that into them that strength conditioning doesn't get you bulky?
Yeah.
That whole.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what? Not so much now. Before, yes.
Yeah.
I was saying to someone the other day, actually, the last 5 or 6 clients that I've done sort of the initial consultation on in last year. So when they first start training, we do initial consultation, then we start training once we've done the assessment. We talk about goals in the initial consultation, and the last 5 or 6 people that I've trained have said to me that their goals are to just be stronger. They just want to be stronger.
Love that, yeah.
And it's funny because they're all women. They're all women that are saying that they want to be stronger. They want to feel stronger. It's not about before I used to get the kind of classic, I want to lose weight around my belly, and I want, my legs are a bit.
On the glutes and the back, and
it's all of those classic kind of, and I always say it's fine to have aesthetic goals. I have them myself. I don't think also we should be shaming people for that.
I spent years training for aesthetics before I even knew about strength. Because I was a chunky kid. I had no neck, man.
Oh,
I swear to God, I'll have to send you the picture. I had no neck. And when I first started training, I did not care about how much weight I lifted. I just literally wanted the 6-pack and wanted to be ripped, and that was it. And then it weren't until I took up strength conditioning properly, I thought, that's going to come anyway. If you're eating 80% of the time really good food, clean food, training hard, then it's going to come. Yeah, it's going to come. There's no point stressing over it.
There's definitely a shift now. I think women are more inclined to do strength training now. They're more inclined to set those kind of goals. It definitely wasn't the case before. I definitely used to get a lot of kind of weight loss clients and people that want to lose 10 kilos in 2 months, and how long is it going to take?
Yeah. That's the thing that gets me. They need to understand, and it doesn't annoy me, but because I know that it's such a long process, I wish I could give you that time. I wish I could say, it's 8 weeks and you're going to be in the best shape of your life.
it's not
You'll
their
be
fault.
moving better.
Yeah.
You will be in great shape. Yeah, it's just we got to educate them on teaching them it's a process.
We've got like all mainstream media telling
Exactly.
them that there's quick fixes,
these
diet
fit
pills,
teas and oh my god.
So what? Like, it's not people's fault. They're totally misguided.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to do a lot of like unraveling of all of that.
Do you get messages from Herbalife and all that shit?
Yeah.
Oh my god. See, when I get that, I feel like throwing my laptop. Herbalife, yeah, we want you as an ambassador. I'm like, what?
No, I'm the wrong guy.
Yeah, I'm the wrong guy.
No, totally. But I think that's our job, is to spread the good message.
Absolutely.
And let people know that it's not the answer that they want, but it will take time. And I think we do live in a culture now, kind of because of Instagram, that there's this kind of instant thing. Like, you want to see where people are now. Yeah. You want to get to where they are now. A lot of people are like, oh, Nez, how long will it take me to be like you, or to outrageous things like that? I'm like, what do you mean to be? You'll never be like me. I'm never going to be like you. What do you mean? Yeah. And it's that thing of like, oh, she looks really cool on the pads, or she looks really strong. Oh, I just want to do what she's doing. And it's like, you don't realise that unfortunately it's taken like over 10 years. This is your journey. Like,
you've got to do your own journey.
You've got to do your own thing. I don't know what your thing is, but it's, you can't be comparing yourself to me. It's just.
But that's the thing. Comparison's the thief of joy. Anyway, you start comparing yourself to people, you're going to drive yourself mad, because you'll never look like them.
But it's hard. It's hard. We spend so much time online,
this is the
and we've got so much access to people now that we just want to. We want that instant. We want to be where they are. We want to do what they're doing. How comes they're doing this? Even in the PT world, like when you see people getting cool jobs, you're like, oh, how comes he got that? And I didn't offer that.
Did you ever get that at one point in your career? Did you ever get a bit like imposter syndrome, or the sort of? I did personally. I did. Like, you'd see PT, and it's not a hate on them. You just think, oh man, I need to be doing better because they're doing that. I need to level up. And it does. It's social media is dangerous for it.
As long as you can like reframe those thoughts though, and use it as almost like a. Oh, actually, what you just said, I need to level up.
Yeah.
How comes they're getting that and I'm not getting? If you can have those thoughts,
and fire yourself up rather than sort of get yourself down about it, right?
Exactly. 100%.
Right. What we got next? How was it? Oh no, I said that. Oh yeah. So this is one. Your definition of happiness.
This is such a
Take your time.
Such a hard question. Do you know what I think? Happiness has got to come from being at peace and loving yourself. I don't think you can really find happiness within anything that you do, whether it's training your kids, your family, your life, until you really love yourself and are kind to yourself. So I would definitely say that's a big part of it. But happiness for me is just being at peace with things that I do in life, being peaceful, minimizing my stress, and just having a really strong purpose. Like, I'm lucky that because of my job, I have passion and I have purpose, and it drives me every day, and that's what makes me happy, because I'm serving a purpose.
Yeah, you sound like your network, everything is really going well for you. You obviously deserve it. You worked your arse off for it, and it's just nice to hear. It's nice to hear you're making waves.
I appreciate that, man. It's nice to be on the other side, because trust me, like I spent a long time. Even when you asked me those questions, I felt quite emotional, remembering all that stuff, and it's like, you know what? I spend so many years struggling, and I think that's why sometimes when you get those comments now, oh, Nez, you're so lucky, or oh, you're so lucky.
You earned.
And it's there's no luck. Like, trust me, I struggled for such a long time. You just didn't. We weren't on Instagram those days. That's just what it is. I spent a lot of time training people, and getting rejected for so long, well before all these opportunities came about. And that's where it's like, you just got to keep turning up, because one of those doors will open for you, and it will be the right one. Yeah. But it's not going to be that person's door that you're seeing on Instagram that looks like they're doing something really cool. It's going to be the door that's right for you. You just got to keep knocking at it until someone opens it.
I love that.
So,
right, that's the end of our episode. But before we finish, I want to shout out Sal, because he sounds like an absolute legend. He's backed you for the whole time. Your kids are amazing. Everyone who supported you so far sounds like a legend. The people who gave you hate, fuck them. They didn't. Yeah. It didn't work.
It didn't work. Actually, do you know what? It fired me up.
Exactly.
And I think it was a big, big fuel to make me say, do you know what?
There you go.
Let's see what you think about that.
They wanted you down here and they sent you up there.
That's what happened.
There you go. I'm so happy to have you on. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Until next time.
Thank you.